Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Port Charles has seen its share of dark minds and twisted geniuses, but lately, the name that's echoing through the streets, whispering through the hospital halls, and creeping into conversations at the Metro Court is Professor Dalton. The man who seemed to enter quietly, like a passing storm cloud, now looms over the entire canvas of General Hospital as a slow-burning threat, a presence so intelligent, so unpredictable, that everyone from Anna Devane to Sonny Corinthos should be paying attention. At first glance, Dalton didn't look like trouble. He appeared polished, precise, maybe even a little charming in that academic way. The kind of man who reads old philosophy books, quotes obscure poets, and drinks his coffee black. But the people of Port Charles have learned, over decades of heartbreak and chaos, that evil doesn't always announce itself with a gun or a glare. Sometimes, it walks in quietly, takes a seat in the back of the room, and starts studying its prey. When Dalton arrived as a visiting psychology lecturer working with GH's trauma program, nobody thought twice. He was the guy doing research on memory, PTSD, and personality disorders, a specialist who had done humanitarian work abroad. But underneath that carefully crafted resume, there was something colder, something deliberate. Every move he made since stepping foot in town has been calculated, as if he's running a long experiment. The unsettling part? He's using the people of Port Charles as his subjects. Dalton's first encounters with Elizabeth and Finn seemed innocent enough discussions about trauma recovery, maybe even collaboration on a study. But those early scenes revealed the subtle manipulation that defines him. He doesn't need to raise his voice or threaten anyone directly. He studies their vulnerabilities, mirrors their emotions, and inserts himself right where they least expect it. In time, he knows exactly which buttons to press. His fascination with human behavior borders on obsession. Dalton believes trauma creates clarity that people show their truest selves when pushed to the edge. So, in his mind, what he's doing isn't cruel, it's necessary. He's convinced he's enlightening people, forcing them to confront who they really are. That's what makes him so terrifying. He doesn't see himself as a villain. He sees himself as a teacher. Port Charles has seen mobsters, serial killers, and manipulative masterminds before, but Dalton is something different. His power doesn't come from money or guns or secret connections. It comes from his understanding of the human psyche. He knows how to break people without touching them. Look at how he's slowly weaving himself into the orbit of some of GH's most fragile characters. He's been spending more time at the hospital, offering guidance to patients and staff who've suffered trauma. It started with Drew Kane, and that's where things got really interesting. Drew's been trying to rebuild his sense of purpose after years of being manipulated, drugged, and imprisoned. Dalton saw that vulnerability instantly. He started by listening, encouraging Drew to talk about his military past, his captivity, and his guilt. But little by little, Drew began questioning his own memories. What if the version of himself he thinks he's recovered isn't real? What if someone, maybe even Dalton, is subtly rewriting it? We've seen it before in Port Charles. Hypnosis, brainwashing, psychological warfare, but never with this kind of precision. Dalton's approach isn't overt. It's layered, subtle, almost poetic in its cruelty. He pushes people to doubt what's true until they hand him their trust willingly. And Drew isn't the only one. There's Willow, who's finally found peace after years of loss, illness, and betrayal. But peace doesn't make for good television or for good targets. In Dalton's mind. Recently, we've seen him checking in on her at the hospital, curious about her recovery and her emotional stability after all she's endured. It seems innocent enough until you realize he's collecting data. He's testing her reactions, her empathy, her resilience. To him, she's another subject in his long-running study about moral endurance. How far can someone go before they break? How much pain can a person carry before compassion turns to cruelty? Even Nina, who's always been emotionally volatile, may find herself pulled into Dalton's web. He's the type who thrives around people who crave redemption. He listens, validates, and then quietly redirects. Before long, Nina might think he's the only one who truly understands her. And that's where his real game begins. Because Dalton isn't after money or fame, or even revenge, he's after control. Not of power structures, but of minds. He's not burning Port Charles down with fire, he's dismantling it from within. One conversation, one planted seed of doubt at a time. The danger is that no one realizes it's happening. Anna Devane, with her intelligence and instincts, will likely be the first to notice. She's seen men like him before, the kind who believe they're on a moral crusade. She's lived through Faison, through David Hayward, through countless others who blurred the line between genius and insanity. But Dalton's methodical calm will throw her off. He doesn't fit the profile. He doesn't lash out or make impulsive mistakes. He watches, waits, and moves like a chess player who already knows the next 10 moves. And it's not hard to imagine him becoming entangled with the WSB storyline. What if he's connected to those mysterious memory projects that resurfaced years ago? What if his research into human behavior isn't academic at all, but part of something larger, something that ties back to the same experiments that altered Drew, Jason, and countless others? If that theory holds, Dalton's arrival wasn't a coincidence. He's here to finish what someone else started. The slow burn aspect of his character is what makes him so unnerving. Unlike past villains who came in swinging, Cyrus Renaud, Peter August, even Ryan Chamberlain, Dalton operates in silence. He plays the long game. Every week, he earns a little more trust, inserts himself a little deeper into the emotional ecosystem of Port Charles. He's even found a subtle way to charm the audience. There's something magnetic about his confidence, his calm tone, the way he can disarm people by making them feel seen. That's the danger when a villain believes he's saving people, and when others start believing it too. When his true motives surface. Drew realizes that his memories have been manipulated again. Willow discovered that her therapy sessions were experiments. Anna realizes too late that he's been tracking her investigation from the start. Even Sonny could become an unintended pawn if Dalton starts analyzing his behavior, predicting his next moves, and using that to destabilize him emotionally. That's the genius of this kind of villain. He doesn't need to pull a trigger to destroy lives. He just needs to make people question themselves. And if we're being honest, Port Charles is the perfect playground for someone like him. The town is full of people with buried trauma, guilt, and moral gray zones. It's a city built on secrets, redemption arcs, and emotional fragility. Dalton knows it, and he's feeding off it. But the question isn't if he'll be exposed. It's when and by whom. Will Anna outthink him before he goes too far? Will Drew fight back against his psychological manipulation? Could Elizabeth, who's no stranger to emotional complexity, be the one who recognizes the pattern? Or will Dalton's calm demeanor disarm everyone long enough for him to rewrite the entire narrative of Port Charles? Fans are already buzzing that this may be one of GH's smartest villain arcs in years. Instead of explosions and kidnappings, it's a slow psychological fire, one that burns through relationships, memories, and trust. Every episode adds another layer, another quiet moment that will eventually snap into focus when the truth comes out. And when that happens, it won't just be a reveal, it'll be devastation. Imagine the fallout when the town realizes that the man they let in, the professor who offered to help, was actually studying them like lab rats. Imagine the guilt, the self-doubt, the betrayal that follows. Dalton may not see himself as evil, but his impact will be catastrophic. Because in the end, the most dangerous villains aren't the ones who seek destruction, they're the ones who convince others that it's for their own good. So, as we move deeper into this storyline, keep an eye on the details. Watch his conversations, his phrasing, the way he redirects questions, the small smirk when someone opens up to him. That's the signal of a man who's 2 steps ahead. Port Charles doesn't even know it yet, but it's living through an experiment, one that's about to reach its breaking point. And when the truth finally breaks, when the slow burn erupts into chaos, the city won't just be fighting another villain. It'll be facing something much worse, a reflection of its own darkness, mirrored back by the most intelligent, insidious, and quietly dangerous man it's ever seen. Professor Dalton didn't come to Port Charles to destroy it. He came to teach it, and his lesson may be the most painful one yet. Because sometimes, the smartest monsters wear smiles, quote literature, and walk among heroes waiting for the perfect moment to show them what they really are. And in that quiet realization, that's where the real terror begins. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.